Hello class, today in this video I'm going to show you how to find b, or the y-intercept, if all you're given is 2 points. We know that we have this equation, y equals m times x plus b. That is the equation for a line, one form of the equation. And we're going to use that equation today to help us figure out what b equals. We can plug in anything that we know first. So I'm going to pick one of these 2 points, it doesn't matter which one, to put in a y and an x value. I have an x and a y here, or I have an x and a y here. Sometimes the zeros make things get a little weird, so I'm going to pick this equation to plug in for my x and my y. So y is 2 equals m, we don't know what m is yet, times x. From up here, here's the x, it equals 2 plus b. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. I've got to figure out what m is, and I can use the 2-point formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to help me get the slope, or m, so I know what number goes in this spot. I'm going to use 0 as my y number 2, minus 2, that's my y number 1, over x number 2 is 4, minus x number 1, which is 2. 0 minus 2 is negative 2, 4 minus 2 is positive 2, negative 2 over 2 can be simplified to equal negative 1. So my slope, or my m, equals negative 1. So what I just did here was find m. All right, so now I can plug m into my equation. So I have 2 equals negative 1 times 2 plus b. Now I need to figure out what b is. So I'm going to simplify wherever I can, solve anything that I already know I can solve to help me make the equation as simple as possible before I try to figure out what b is. Right now, that means the only thing I can do here is to do this multiplication. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And to undo whatever was done to b in order to get b by itself, in this case, I'm going to add 2 to both sides because I want to get these to kind of like cancel each other out. So on this side, 2 plus 2 is 4. Negative 2 plus b, the negative 2 and the positive 2 sort of like cancel each other out. So 4 equals b. You might see that written as 0, 4 if you need it as an ordered pair. We'll walk through one more example. Over here I have another set of pairs, and this time I will use the 0 just to show like it's fine, you can use it. I'll plug in what we know. Y is 0 equals m, we don't know what that is yet, times x, which is negative 3, plus b. Now we've got to find out what m is. So again, I'll use the 2-point formula. 0 minus negative 4, because I have y minus y, over negative 3 minus 3, because I have x minus x. 0 minus negative 4 is like 0 plus 4, so that equals 4. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. So I'm going to simplify that to negative 2/3. I'm going to leave it as a fraction and not try to convert it to like 0.6667 or something like that. It's more precise if you leave it as a fraction. All right, so now I can put that in place of m in my equation. 0 equals negative 2/3 times negative 3 plus b. Just like we did over here, I'm going to simplify whatever I can, which means I have to do some multiplication here. I remember that when I multiply a negative times a negative, I get a positive, so I can just disregard the negative symbols. I also remember that when I'm multiplying a fraction by a whole number, I can kind of like pretend that this is a 3/1 to turn it into a fraction to make it easier to multiply. And multiplying fractions is the easiest fraction operation because you just multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3 plus b. Now 6/3 I can simplify to be 2. 6/3 is equal to 2. So I have 0 equals 2 plus b. I want to get b alone, so I need to undo whatever was done to it. 2 was added to it, so to undo that I'm going to take 2 away, and I have to do that to both sides. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 2 minus 2 plus b is just b. So b equals negative 2. Or if you need it as a coordinate pair, you would write it 0, negative 2. And the reason the x value is always a 0 when you have a y-intercept is because the point of the y-intercept, like the purpose of the y-intercept, is to tell where the line is crossing the y-axis. And anywhere on the y-axis, the x value is going to be 0 because you haven't moved over to the left or the right. You've just stayed right on the 0 mark. Like if these are tick marks, 1, 2, -1, -2, this would be the 0. And so if you're on this line or crossing this line somewhere, the x value is always going to be 0. Oops, sorry, my focus went a little bit off. Okay, I hope that helped.